The D30 full Android car display with wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. What sets this unit apart from the other lower cost displays is that the underlying operating system is a full Android system versus some lightweight bare minimum proprietary interface that most of these car displays come with. Having a full Android-based system offers potentially more powerful user options and customizations, but it does require more hefty hardware and in turn higher costs. So let's see if it's worth the extra costs and complexity to have full Android on a portable car display. Here's a quick specifications list. Using the app Device Info HW, the operating system is detected as Android 10, faked to Android 13. The boot screen says octa-core processor and is detected as a Unisoc UIS 8581A. 4 gigs of RAM, 45.93 gigs of internal storage available for the user, a 1080p camera for the front recording drive cam, and the optional secondary camera through a 2.5mm jack. This is intended for rear view recording if you plan to use it for a drive cam. It has Bluetooth 5.0, 5 GHz capable Wi-Fi. The screen is 1600 by 600 resolution, running at 39 Hz refresh. You also get an external GPS receiver, micro SD card slot, and a USB slot. Here's everything out of the box. Once connected, the boot time is about 25 to 27 seconds. This is the default home launcher. We have some status icons on the top left for GPS satellite status, a camera recording status, FM transmission status, the Wi-Fi, a USB connection indicator, and a hotspot indicator. The left side overlay has the recent apps button, camera app shortcut, the home key, quick settings key, and a back button. For the camera function, one thing to note, if you have a properly formatted micro SD card inserted, the camera will automatically start recording every time this display boots up. It will record front and back if attached. There's no way to disable this other than going in and stopping it every time, or if you just don't insert an SD card. The red dot here indicates that it's recording. Here are the settings for the camera if you're interested in using it. There's a setting for the video format, such as optimizing the encoding for streaming, how long each video segment will be, the collision sensitivity so it will lock the video if a sudden motion is detected, a speed unit preference, and a calibration for the lens. The lens is adjustable and you can adjust it based on how you mount this on your car. You can adjust the center line or flip the video left and right. Quick settings. This lets you toggle certain key features of this device. The wording is a little bit confusing because the translation was poor. Just know that closed means off and opened means on. For the wireless data, this is the Wi-Fi toggle. The center icon is for the hotspot toggle. This is the location function toggle. You have the Bluetooth toggle and the Bluetooth type. The Bluetooth type is something unique. You don't see this in typical Android devices. So this device makes you choose between two Bluetooth functions. It can only do transmit or project. Transmit is just like a normal Bluetooth transmitter and receiver in that it sends audio out to an external speaker or your car's Bluetooth receiver. However, with this mode, you cannot do Android Auto. For Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, it must be toggled to Bluetooth projection, and in this mode you can no longer send audio out. So even though it has Bluetooth, you cannot send audio out if you're using Android Auto. I did not test Apple CarPlay, but I assume it's the same. You will need to use the 3.5mm headphone jack line out or the FM transmission to get audio out from this device in Android Auto mode. There is an audio separation mode that allows your phone to transmit Bluetooth to your car's receiver, and we'll look at that later. CarPlay Auto option. This will toggle whether or not you want to automatically go into Android Auto or Apple CarPlay mode every time the device starts up. For screen control, you can check the screen off or screensaver and a time limit, and it will turn the screen off or enter the screensaver mode after a set amount of time is up. Or you can choose the poorly translated long bright if you want to have an always on display. This is my preference because in the car environment, I do not like to have the screen turn off on me while I'm driving. The dimming lets you manually change the brightness of the day and night, or you just click on auto. It uses a sensor to determine how much brightness is needed. I just leave it on auto. For other, this is the volume adjustment for the FM transmission or the built-in speaker volume. You can also toggle the FM transmission function or built-in speaker function here too, but only one can be on at a time, not both, although both can be off. This is the only way I could find to adjust the volume on this device other than when it enters full screen mode on certain apps and it brings up a floating button, but we'll look at that later too. Let's take a look at the default home launcher called QC Home. It is very limiting. What you see here is what you get. Nothing can be customized or changed. You only have the default music player on the left side with the time and date on top. Tapping it opens up an app called USB Player that can show the media stored on the USB drive only. It cannot access anything in the built-in storage or the microSD card slot. The tiles you see here cannot be changed or moved, except for the navigation one, which if you hold it down, you can choose your own GPS navigation app, such as the built-in Google Maps. Everything else launches what's already been programmed into it. So we have a built-in file manager. It's basic but usable. You can access the micro SD card or USB if you have a USB drive inserted. Basic file operations like copy, paste, rename, move, and delete are supported. The mirror link button. This puts the device into a mirror mode or screen mirror mode. We'll look at that later. It's to enable casting from your phone to the car display. The camera opens the camera app directly, which is different than the function on the camera shortcut on the sidebar, which puts it into camera view of the camera app. This opens up the full app and you can go into the settings, stop the recording, etc. Audio out. Here you can choose how audio is routed. Native audio is for the built-in speaker. It's nice that they let you turn it off permanently, as in certain other car display models, it's on during boot up and you get a boot up chime, whether you want to hear it or not. Auxiliary auto is output to the 3.5mm jack. FM audio is to transmit to a preset FM station, and you go into it and you can set which station you want to broadcast to. Now we have the two Bluetooth modes. Although it can transmit audio, you cannot do so with Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. Bluetooth transmit is audio out, but only through the built-in Android audio system. In the settings, you can change the name. I like to give it a more recognizable name so I know what I'm connected to instead of just seeing some random numbers. Like here, I added TRX to the end so I know that the phone is connected to the car display in transmit mode. Projection mode toggles using Bluetooth for use in identifying and connecting to Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. If you're in this mode, the car display device will not transmit audio out through Bluetooth. So if you're using this for Android Auto, you can only output through the built-in speaker, FM transmission, or the 3.5mm jack. For Android Auto mode, I added AA. It's just for your own usage. You don't have to change it if you don't want to. There's a scan function that lists the Bluetooth devices nearby. Setting up Android Auto. To set up Android Auto, click on the Quick Settings gear on the left navigation bar and make sure Bluetooth mode is on and in projection mode. If you want Android Auto to connect automatically every time this boots, toggle the CarPlay Auto to opened. Now click on the Android Auto from the home screen. It will tell you to use your phone and connect your Bluetooth to the car display unit. It should be named D30 with a bunch of other numbers. The default pin is 4 zeros. Once your phone is paired, Android Auto will start and just follow the prompts on the display and phone. Now that it's set up, the car display will remember the settings and will automatically connect at every boot if you've enabled it to do so. Or if you did not, you can start it manually by just clicking on the Android Auto button. One thing to note is that Android Auto runs in full screen, so you have this floating white button here for volume, brightness, home, and a back function. It's a bit annoying as it overlays on the screen, and even if you move it to a more convenient location to your preference, it always starts back in this location. Here's how phone calls worked. Call the Walgreens in Las Vegas.
Calling Walgreens. Hi, thanks for calling Walgreens.
And here's a sample of the Google Assistants. What's the weather in Death Valley?
Right now in Death Valley, it's 57 degrees and clear. Wednesday, it'll be mostly cloudy with a high of...
I've heard from some other users that they could not connect the phone audio to the Android Auto unit. So the solution would be to enable the audio separation within the CarPlay Android Auto service app. The best way to get into the settings is to turn off your phone so that it will not auto connect, and then you can hit the settings icon in the CarPlay Android Auto service app, because if your phone is on and nearby, it will automatically connect. So in this CarPlay app's options, you have the ability to separate Android Auto's audio streaming. So Android Auto will only take care of the video and touch inputs, and you can connect your phone separately to your car's Bluetooth receiver and send the audio stream separately to there.
As Alphabet, we're also going to get Microsoft, and they're going to tell us, has the big run up in the last 90 days?
This is not an ideal setup, especially if your car does not have Bluetooth audio, but is available. The other phone pairing function is the mirror link. This is simply a display mirror and let your phone cast its screen to the display. And it's a cumbersome process to set up. You need to download the CarPlay app to your phone. There's a QR code in the help screen. Follow the instructions to pair the device to the display. Turn on hotspot on your phone side and connect the display to the hotspot. Now you can cast your display and sound, but you cannot control the phone as the touch does not work through the car display screen. I don't find this to be very useful, not to mention the cumbersome setup process. Maybe if the touchscreen worked, it could be useful. With the device already being full Android and Android Auto capable, it's so easy to set up and connect through Android Auto. And anything else that Android Auto does not run, such as YouTube, you can run it directly on the device. This feature seems obsolete now that Android Auto is available. If you want to watch YouTube, simply hotspot your phone to the display and you can run YouTube directly from the device, instead of having to mirror it from your phone.
We could ever make. 100 years ago, we thought we had reached the fastest traveling speed again when the Wright brothers invented the airplane. 70 years ago, we thought the same when we broke the sound barrier. 50 years ago, we achieved the fastest traveling speed in the rocket that took us to the Apollo 10 mission.
Let's look at the base Android usage with the included apps. Using navigation. Being a full Android unit and having the benefit of an external GPS antenna, you can run any Android GPS navigation app on the device. It can be a standalone GPS device without having to be paired to your phone. For Google Maps, you will want to have your offline map set up while you're connected to Wi-Fi ahead of time, or you can set up some popular offline maps like Sigic. Here's how Google Map loads up and looks. But unless you have this linked up to a mobile hotspot, you obviously won't have live traffic updates or routes based on traffic conditions. Offline voice typing works, but is not as good as the Android Assistant. The built-in media app that's on the stock launcher home screen is very limited. It does not support folder structures, playlists, or searches. You just get a full list of every song or video or photo. Definitely not very usable. For YouTube, this comes with a YouTube app, but obviously you would need some kind of internet connection if you're on the road.
In a remote town at a small hospital, there lived two old patients in the same room, and both of them had a chronic disease. One of them is totally paralyzed and had to lay on.
And this is how Spotify works.
You have to consider Montgomery because He is the best known soldier of the Second World War, best known British soldier of the Second World War.
And here's TikTok. It's not on the home screen, but it's included in the apps if you open up the app drawer. The Videos app. This app opens up your stored drive cam videos and pictures saved on the micro SD card. This app does not access the USB drive or the internal storage car. So how does this perform out of the box for routine usage? For me, this means using it daily. How does it handle the car restarting a few times a day, rebooting, and continuing where you left off? As for restarts, this unit is powered by a USB. So that means when you turn off your car, this device will shut off and will need to fully reboot every time you get in your car. The boot up sequence to the home screen is about 27 seconds. And if you have Android Auto set up to connect automatically, it'll take another few seconds. Android Auto worked pretty good for me. It was pretty stable and restarted fine every time. I used it on a few road trips and it hasn't failed me. There is, however, no way to separate the volume from music or navigation guidance. It will go through the routine, but there's only one overall volume setting for the device.
10 or 24.5.
To adjust the volume of the voice guides, use your volume control.
On more refined systems like on my A-Total head unit, you can set guidance and music volume separately. The system seems pretty stable. On power loss, such as if you need to crank your car, there's an approximate 3-second window where it will stay on without having to do a total reboot. It does go blank and goes back to the home launcher, but clicking Android Auto brings it right back if you were in that mode to start with. Longer than this and it will need to do a full reboot. The last issue I want to bring up is the reverse camera trigger. It will not show the reverse camera until the system is fully booted up, so that takes about 25-27 seconds before you can have access to your rear view camera. So typically if you start your car and you need to reverse it out, you might have to wait 20-something seconds to have access to the camera. After using this for a few weeks, I think a full Android portable display is a good fit for technical users or more advanced users who like to tinker with gadgets and make it their own. The built-in default apps for local media playback is very limited as described earlier. To take full advantage of the Android operating system, you would need to install your own favorite media players, change the launcher, and other customizations. Again, for those who like to tinker and make it their own, this display would make a good choice. But for those who just need an Android Auto display unit, go for a cheaper basic one with good quality sound output. I'm going to end this video with some samples of the drive cam, front and rear.